So let's talk about the Giants' moves. It's been a week, full 7 days. I think day one was considered a success. We brought in Bobby Okereke. And I think the moves that we've had over the past week have been pretty rock solid. Parris Campbell signed a 1-year, $4.7 million deal worth a max value of $6.7 million. He's 6 foot, 200 pounds, 25 years old. He'll be 26 years old when the season starts. He was a second-round pick of the 2019 draft from the Colts. Didn't really start a whole hell of a lot of games for the Colts in the first 3 seasons, but then he started 16 of 17 games in 2022, 91 targets, 63 catches, 600 plus yards, 3 touchdowns, and with a catch percentage around 70. And they're not shy about handing him the ball, which is nice because we're looking at the Giants wide receiving core where you could literally hand it off to Darius Slayton, Wan'Dale Robinson, Sterling Shepard, Parris Campbell. It feels like you can hand it off, jet sweep, that whole kind of thing, which I'm not a tremendous fan of the jet sweep, but you can, each of those wide receivers, I think, has carries under their belt historically. So that's kind of an interesting wrinkle for next year is like any of those guys, you could hand them the ball and they'll take off with it. Speed kills. And that was the major thing that people had mentioned with Parris Campbell. That was like the one word that seemed to be repeated over and over was speed, fast, quick. And that's kind of been the MO for Joe Schoen over this offseason was we need to be faster, we need to be quicker. And while I think that's great and speed does kill, for whatever reason, growing up in the 80s and the 90s, it makes me think of the Raiders of those times. Al Davis, always drafting the fastest guy in the draft, regardless of his ability to run routes or catch the ball. I don't think that's necessarily the case with Darius Slayton. Well, Darius Slayton has a little bit of the case of the drops from here and there. I don't know about Parris Campbell. It's not a great catch percentage, but it's not bad either. And, he coming off the best year of his career. Maybe he's on to something special. So I think that's a good depth signing, especially considering our history of wide receivers going down with injuries. I can't really argue with this. I think that's a solid addition. Speaking of Darius Slayton, I think he agreed to a 2-year, $12 million contract with a max value of $16.5 million. We talked about the tumultuous journey ride for a guy like Julian Love, who was drafted in 2019. You look at Darius Slayton, and this is a guy that was on the chopping block before the 2022 season. And I don't think there wasn't a high level. I don't think there was a lot of high level of confidence among fans, even those big supporters. Like I'm a supporter of Darius Slayton. I wanted him back. But it wouldn't have been surprising if he signed elsewhere or the team let him go, considering what they put him through at the beginning of the season. So I want to see his market value because I want to say his market value was like $3 million a year. It was not very high. So for the team to sign him to a 2-year, $6 million or $12 million contract with a $6 million AAV is interesting. Yeah. His average annual salary market value, according to Spot Track, was $3.5 million, 2 years, $7 million. So that really should tell you something about how highly the Giants think of him. What a friggin' 180 turn. What a swing. What a turn of events. I mean, on the chopping block, wasn't going to make it, had to take a pay cut to stay on the team, stayed on the team, took a pay cut. But if you listen to him, if you follow him on social media, his love for Daniel Jones and, Daniel Jones slander would not be tolerated. He believes in his quarterback, which is paramount. You need that in a wide receiver. And I think that's what made him want to stay with the team. And I think that's what the team came around, like the coaching staff came around on that. And they saw like, okay, much like Dave's admitted that he put Daniel Jones to the ringer in preseason, in training camp. Feels like maybe they did this something similar with Darius Slayton, where it's like, hey, we don't think that internally they're probably saying we don't think that this guy is really proven his chops. He doesn't have the chops. He hasn't really proven himself. And what did he do? Slayton went out and was basically forcing, went from a healthy scratch to significant playing time to big play contributor. He disappears from time to time. I'm not arguing that. But when he gets his hands on the ball and he holds on to the ball in open space, in the open field, he's a problem. And so that's what I appreciate and love about him. Is he a number one receiver? I feel like we've been saying that for a long time. No, but he has the ability to take over a game. He has the ability to change the game in one play. And that's a playmaker. And you need that. I feel like it doesn't hurt. That's for sure. So I'm glad he's back. I'm really excited that he's back. We're working on a deal with Rams defensive tackle A'Shawn Robinson. I don't know that I'm that high on A'Shawn Robinson, but as a depth piece would be nice. Seems like he misses a lot of games, possibly due to injury. But the fact that we're not going to roll him out and be a starter and he can be fresh in a limited capacity, I think that's will only serve to benefit us. We signed Bobby McCain. I don't know the terms of the deal, but it's a safety. This is replacing Julian Love. So now you got a safety core of McKinney, Belton, Pinnock, McCain, which is pretty decent. McCain's best years came as a safety. We said he used to be a corner. Didn't really put up a whole lot of crazy good numbers in his time as a corner, 3-4 years as a corner. I think he was a 2015 draft pick. But ever since he made the move to safety, I guess he can play strong safety and he could play free safety. Not really a ball hawk, but I think the big takeaway here is durability, consistency. A lot of games started over the past 3 years. He's started at least 16 games over the past 3 years, 50 straight games, something like that, which is music to thine ears. Always good to hear. And so another quality signing. Would be interesting to hear the terms of the deal, because I don't know that I would take him if he's the same price tag or more expensive than Julian Love. I don't get it. That makes me confused. But if he's not, it's like, okay, I get it. It's just a nice quality signing. We have, when we listed out back when I did the video on the free agents, New York Giants players that were going to be free agents, should we sign them or should we let them walk? Lovelow's not a top priority, right? It was Jones, Barkley, Slayton, Julian Love. He was kind of last. Was he a third in line or fourth in line? And I think once Slayton signed, it was like, okay, I guess Love's out. But the big move, tight end Darren Waller, acquired in a trade with the Las Vegas Raiders for a third-round pick, the third-round pick that we got in the Kadarius Toney trade with the Chiefs. So we essentially traded away Kadarius Toney for draft picks and Darren Waller. I think we pretty much won that trade. And let's take a look. Darren Charles Waller, 6'6", 255. He'll be 30 on the precipice, on the brink of 31 years old, which is a bit on the older side, but this is a dude who I think has gone clean. He's sober. He's straight edge now, I believe. Went to college at Georgia Tech, went to high school in Georgia, 6th-round pick of the Ravens in 2015, and was a Pro Bowler in 2020, APCPLY 3. That sounds like a freaking Star Wars character. I don't know what that means, but 2019, he had a really good year as well. He started all 16 games in 19, 90 catches, 11, almost 1,200 yards. In 2020, the following season, 15 starts, 107 receptions, almost 1,200 yards, again receiving. He did miss a lot of games in the past 2 years. He's only played 17 games out of a possible, what is it? What are we looking at? 34? He's missed half the games basically over the past 2 seasons. So it's cause for concern. He went from struggling with Baltimore mostly due to, I guess, substance abuse issues. And then he got clean, I guess, in time for 2019, thanks to John. I guess maybe John Gruden helped with that or helped break him out. And so I'm excited. Is he going to be, or is he going to give us seasons like he did in 2019, 2020? He's going to give us stats, numbies this year like he did in 2019, 2020? Probably not, but that's okay. What are we looking for? We're looking for him to start more than 11 games. So if he can give us, 17 games, say he misses like 3 or 4 games. Okay, that's all right. That's fine. And if he can give us more than 55 catches and more than 665 yards, and the key here is touchdowns. If he can give us more than 3 touchdowns, 3 to 9 touchdowns, closer to 9, I think he's going to be a red zone threat for us. That's where he's going to come into play. You combine him, I know I got very high, probably a little too high on Darnell Washington. We made that one-handed grab in the NFL Combine. And I was like, should we draft him? Should we pair him with Belly? And now we don't have to because we have Darren Waller to pair with Daniel Bellinger. The two tight end sets, it's about giving our offensive coordinator options. Mike Kafka now has a very nice menu to pick from. Cheesecake Factory-esque menu, Denny's menu, where it's like, I don't know, I might need another minute here. We might have a couple of delay games this season because he's got options. He can go with empty backfield and have Wandale, Sterling, Darius, Parris, Isaiah Hodgins, 5 wide. He could go 2 tight end, Daniel Bellinger, Darren Waller, and mix it up there. Could be a run, could be a pass. So I love the move. We didn't have to give up. We didn't give up anything that spectacular. And we have a guy that has upside. And if he comes out and, I just got to look at his contract because I don't think we're tied down to a massive contract. I know he signed a 3-year extension with the Raiders, I think last year. Yeah, 3 years, $51 million contract with the Raiders, including $22 million guaranteed, an average salary of $17 million. So interesting move by the Raiders. But he did restructure the contract with the Giants. So that's good. Created $7.3 million in cap space. So we converted $9.8 million of his base into a signing bonus, and that creates some nice space under the cap. So it's just another weapon. We now have, and it's a matter of like, we just need guys to stay healthy because we've been down this road before where we have on paper, it looks like we have a pretty nice offense. And then this one gets hurt, and then that one gets hurt, and then this one gets hurt, and that one gets hurt. So I think he's going to have a bounce back year. Do I think he's going to put up 1,000 yards? No. But I think if we can get more than, if I can get more than 600, 700 yards out of Darren Waller and a handful of touchdowns, that's a success in my book, because I don't know that people are really devoting a ton of attention to a lot of our other weapons. So it feels like most of the focus will be on Waller, which will only open up things for some of our other receivers. So I love the deal. I don't know that anyone that really hates it. There was someone saying like, well, he's so close to Newark that he's bound to relapse. And it's like, bro, if you can stay sober and clean and straight edge in fucking Vegas, I think you can handle Newark and the New York metropolitan area. But I could be wrong. So I'm very excited about this offense, but I got to temper my expectations because we've been burnt before. And I guess the final note with the Giants is that John Feliciano signed with the 49ers and we don't have a center. We don't have a center. And so now it's gone to, we don't go tight end first round, obviously. I don't know that we go wide receiver first round because it seems like we have a pretty full room there. There's maybe a corner, but now people are talking about a center in the first round. No, dude, no way. Center in the first round? No. But a center in the first 2-3 rounds, almost lock it down, lock it up, guaranteed. It has to happen because I don't know that there are many centers out on the market that are still available. Unless they're thinking about moving one of our guards to center. Like, I want to say that Ben Bredeson has played center before. And maybe they're thinking about converting him to center, which, I don't know that I hate it. I want to say that he's played center before. I could be completely wrong. So we'll see. But the offensive line still remains an issue in my book. You need Evan Neal to step up in year 2. You got Andrew Thomas is pretty much your only really solid offensive lineman. Glowinski's like he's a starter, but like fairly inconsistent. I'd say most people weren't like in love with him. So now center's up in the air and guards up. The other guard position's up in the air. So that's 2 of the 5 spots that they need to fill. And so I'm hoping that they're able to add some depth there or a possible starter in the draft. Be nice to get a starter in the draft at one of those positions. Probably center. So, all right. It's New York Football Giants.